So this is our training video. Number one, we're going to kind of go through that iRoutes setup here with Russ. So Russ got the link to his email and was able to log in and create an account. So from here, we need to add your cell phone number to the enterprise so that your calling tree will work. So if you click my profile in the top left corner, and then you'll hover over general information and up at the top to the left a little bit, and then address and locale. And then you're going to put your cell phone number in the cell phone box. So down, yep, right there. And this will allow you to receive calls through the app and the desktop version. The provider doesn't really matter. You can just leave it whatever, or you can select your provider. It doesn't really affect it at all. And then you'll save that. Perfect. And then from here, we're going to go over to iRoutes. So the little trash can to the left. And then we're going to go set up some settings. So if you click admin and then regions and then add region. So a region is just basically a way to group your service area together. The only reason you would really have more than one region is if you did like 2 different states or 2 different areas with different sales tax. But we usually just have one region and you can call it whatever you want. And then your state is going to be default auto-filled. If you did service 2 states, there's an option to select 2 states, but we can just leave it the one. Blackout schedule. Usually we just select default here if you work year-round and don't take winters off. If you do take the winters off, you could still select the default and we'll go show you where to add those blackout dates. But you can just ignore this box with the red outline either way. So just keep going down.
If I'm seasonal, which Cantastic used to be, if I just close down, like we used to close down the week before Thanksgiving and then start up on President's Day weekend, I would actually put the dates that I'm going to shut down for the winter.
So I just do that on the blackout schedule. It's easier. I honestly don't know why we still have these dates here, because every 2 years you would have to come in and fill this in.
Okay.
I'll show you the default schedule or the blackout schedule. US dollar currency is most likely what it's going to always be. Sales tax, you just type your sales tax there. Description for website, you can leave blank. And then web display order is going to be a 1 and you want it visible on the website. And then you can save that. And then anywhere you see a sync website button, whether we're hosting your website or not, you'll just want to get used to clicking that if you make any changes so that it reflects on your website. Right now it's not going to work because we don't have everything fully set up, but just get used to clicking that. So if you go up to regions and click blackout schedule, this is where I usually do the blackout schedule. So you can see the schedule's default. So if you selected that on the previous screen and you do take winters off, you could just click the month. So if you clicked the word January, it'll block out the whole month. And then you could block out what winter months you don't work here. Maybe, there we go. So if you do a blackout schedule, I would do it here. And I would really only use the blackout schedule if you take off the winter months. If you take off like holidays and stuff, there's easier ways to do those routes. But the blackout schedule is going to completely skip those customers that are due that week. So if you take Christmas off, any customers due that week will just essentially get skipped completely. So we'll show you how to handle holidays when that time comes. But for blocking out winter, I would do it right here. Now you can scroll back up and we'll go over to cities.
And I don't have to save this?
No, it automatically saves. And then click zip codes. So when you onboard with us, you should add all the zip codes for your service area so that we can get them loaded in here. And then once we load them in your enterprise, you'll select all of them and then click add to region. And then you'll just select your region and continue. And then again, you would just want to hit sync website. So now all of these orders are web enabled. So your customers will be able to place orders through these zip codes. Perfect. And then we'll go over to pricing and then add pricing. So this is the service name is where you would put monthly, quarterly, bi-monthly, whatever you're going to use. Description for website, you can leave blank, and comments, you can leave blank. Service type is always can cleaning, and then trash. Private pricing would be if you had like an HOA or someone on a special price that you didn't want visible on the website, you would select that private pricing box. But for the ones you want visible on the website, you don't have to check that. And then for the monthly price, you'll put it in the monthly price box. So if you do $25 per can, you would just leave that $25 right there. If you do $25 for up to 2 cans, and then in any additional can is like $10, you would use those fixed pricing boxes. So you would put a 2 in box A, and then box C is where you would put $10 for each additional. And you can do it another way too. You can do 1 can for 25, the next can for $10, and then anything after that for $5. So that would be when you would use box B.
Is that usually 2, and then this would be 10?
Yeah. Well, you would do up to 1. Yeah, box B. So 1 more can for $10, and then anything after that would be $5.
Okay.
So that's the fixed pricing if you do use that. And then service frequency will be 4 weeks. Visits per season. If you take the winters off, obviously you'll do like 9 or 8 months, whatever you service. If you work year round, it's going to be 13 visits per season on a 4-week cycle. So, and then once you do that, you'll want to use service interval for billing events. And then you can save changes. And then we're going to add one more pricing for the purpose of this video to show you the one-time price. It's a little bit different. Service type can cleaning. So for the one-time cleans, you're going to put them in the per visit price box. So as soon as you mark the customer complete and their card was charged successfully, they don't have a balance on their account, that customer is going to move to archived customers. And then if they sign back up for service, you can merge their new order with their previous account. So that's what you do for one-time visits. And then service frequency would be on demand. And then visits per season would be 1. And then you could save those changes. Perfect. And then again, sync website once you add those. And then now we'll go over to routes and add some routes. Oh, we moved that. So just click the drop down and then click add route. Oh, sorry, routes. And then add route. So the way we name the routes is just capital W for week, and then 1 and capital M for Monday. And we do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, capital TH for Thursday, just to keep it simple. Obviously, if you have certain areas that you do each week and you want to call them those areas, you can call them whatever, but this is just what we usually do. Service day would be Monday. And then region's always going to be your same region. And then frequencies 4 weeks. And then you can leave those 2 blank for now. And then next route date, we usually just start them. Yeah. and then finish. So if you're doing same day trash clean, you would just leave it where the service day is Monday and the city day of the week is Monday. You would just leave it if you do same day trash cleans. If you do day after, well, I guess Monday you wouldn't really do a route, but Tuesday you would do city. So I usually have them switch the city day of the week. So the title week 1 Monday is the service day, and then the city day of the week is the day before. So let's do a Tuesday route so it makes better sense. And week 1 isn't necessarily going to mean the first week of the month, because they're on a 4-week cycle. So it's going to always kind of shift. So it doesn't really matter what day you start the routes. So for Tuesday, the city day of the week would be Monday. And then the service day would be Tuesday. So you would go out and clean the cans the day after trash pickup. So that's how you would set up for next day cleans. And then you would just go through and set up routes for every day of the month. Well,
Okay. Do you want me to do a whole week, or is that good for starters?
let's show custom.
Okay.
Or what's the one?
Oh,
You
fixed?
No, yeah, the one where if they take the last week off, the 5th week.
Yeah, the fixed one is where you would. So, and I've actually confused a lot of people when I call it week 1, like week 1 Tuesday, because then people think that it has to be the first week of the month. So sometimes we'll do week A, B, C, and D, or week red, pink, orange, and green. The one is very confusing, and I'm the one that started that. So if you have a problem with that, you can complain to me. But the fixed pricing, week 1, 2, 3, and 4 are exactly what that means. So you would literally work the first week of the month, the second week, the third, the fourth, and then you always have to take off the 29th, the 30th, and the 31st of every single month. And some people do this like clockwork. But if you have biweekly recycle pickup, this schedule that we're about to tell you about will be very difficult, because you'll have recycle cans full sometimes, and then other times they will be empty. So if you have an area where recycle cans empty every week, this schedule works really well.
Okay. So we'll just start from the beginning if you want to add a route.
Week 2 Monday?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess I should do, well, we'll say that it's same day.
Okay.
So people are cleaning the same day.
So usually if people do day after cleans, since they work Saturday to clean for Fridays, we'll usually do a Monday route just in case they need to do anything on Monday. But yeah, you can just do whatever days you work, obviously, Monday through Friday or Tuesday through Saturday. And then this is where we've set it for the 4-week site or the fixed routes.
So week 2 would literally be May 12th, which is because that's the second Monday of the month, but that day's already passed. So the next time we have a second Monday in a month is the 9th of June. Is that right? I hope I got that right.
Yeah. So yeah, so if you scroll down, you'll see that it's locked to the week of the month and day of the week. So that's always going to be the second Monday of the month. So you would just do that for each day, all 4 weeks, and then it won't, yeah, you'll take off those last 3 days of the month, or that 5th week if there's the 5th week. You just wouldn't work on those days. So that would be the fixed route. And then we do have a custom schedule. So if you I don't really know how to explain the custom schedule, but basically you would have to come in, select yes on custom schedule, and then we usually switch lock to week and day of the month to no. And then scroll down and save. Oh, will it let you save? And then you would come down to the calendar and you would literally select which days each month you're going to work. And you'll have to go through, I think we go up to 2 years in here. So every 2 years you would have to come and basically fill out the calendar for your whole service schedule that year.
Yeah, and just to add a quick note, the individual we built this for, as you get into this industry, you're going to realize that holidays really throw things off because garbage companies move their schedules around and push the garbage pickup off. And so this individual wanted to be able to take off those entire weeks. And so he would come in and make a custom schedule for his customers on exact days, taking all those holidays that mess up your pickup off. And yeah, that was pretty much where it started. So yeah, and we have a bunch of other coaching. I've been doing this for 10 years, and we do a lot of route shifting where if a holiday comes up, we'll either do that route the week before or the week after, or sometimes just push it off to the next day. There's several different strategies, but a lot of it depends on how many customers run that route, if it's the recycle week and the cans are going to be empty, and there's a few variables, and we can roll through some of those.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, holidays, there's multiple different ways we can handle those, and we can go through those with you. Perfect. So the routes, that's how you would set up the routes. You would just go through and do all 4 weeks. The 4-week cycle ones are going to automatically just shift every 4 weeks. The other ones, obviously, well, they shift 4 weeks, but it's just going to be if it's locked or not to the day of the month. Let's see. So routes, we do have a route location. So it can be your starting and stopping point for your routes every day, and that would be under locations, routes and locations. You would add your location here, and then you have to add it to each route. So honestly, this might be good to do before you build your routes if you want to use a route location. The only downside to using a route location would be if you have a route and say you want to start at the furthest house first and work your way back, it's always going to optimize the route based on your starting and stopping location. So if you want to have a say in where you start the routes each day, I wouldn't set up a route location just because it's always going to optimize based on this location. So if you want to start with that, you can. I know Russ Cantastic has a warehouse that they start out, so it makes sense that way. But if you start at your house and you want to go do the furthest stop first and work your way back, I wouldn't use the route location. So you can just close out of that, Russ. And then open a route real quick. So routes, and then over to the right, you'll see the start location and end location up at the top. So if you were to add a route location starting and stopping point, you would just select it here on each route. So if you decide to use that feature, I would enter that first. So while you're building the routes, you can add those in here. Oh, let's show them where to change the colors. So the route colors, hit routes again. Oh, so they're pretty bright starting out. So if you want to change these colors, you can just click the name, select the color, and you can literally pick whatever color you want. The lighter colors are easier to read. All that route date, start dates in the past, but that's okay. You can just hit cancel. So that to change the colors, it would just be under route groups. Let's see. So now we'll go over some kind of default settings. So if you click main menu and go to admin.
Oops.
And then accounting. And then main accounting settings. So there's a few different ways you can charge your customers. The two automated ways we have are you can charge them at the first of the month. Anyone who is due for service that month will be charged. Or you can do it time of service. So when they're cleaning their cans, mark the cans complete, their card will be charged. So those are the two automated ways. And if you wanted to use one of those, you would just leave that automated selected. The service billing engine allows you to manually go in and charge all the cards for a specific route a couple days in advance, the morning of, a week in advance. You can kind of pick and choose when you want to charge all those cards. But that is a manual process that you'll have to do each day. So they're all great, but depending on what you want to do, let's leave automated selected for now so we can show them where those other settings are. Skip service settings. In the app, there's a skip button. If you enable it, it will basically just let you skip the customer on that route if their cans aren't out or anything like that. If you use this button or your drivers use this button, you'll have to get into the habit of coming in at the end of the day and fixing those customers' next service dates. You can advance them automatically to the next service date or the next route date. The only downside to that is each time you skip a customer, it's going to be handled differently. So one customer might say, oh, can you come back next week? Another customer might say, oh, just hit me next month. But if it's a quarterly customer, they're going to be advanced 3 months. So I would usually, if I tell people to use this, leave the service date and billing date, don't advance, and don't create a ticket. And then you'll get notified on your home screen if someone was skipped. So you can just go into each one of those customers and advance their next service date to whatever they wanted you to do, or create a ticket for them for like a one-off job. Russ, do you want to explain what your guys' do?
Yeah,
they don't use the skip, right?
Yep, we don't use the skip, and the main reason why is we charge on the first of the month, and we've already charged the customer. And before we go out on the route, we send a text the night before at 6 p.m. The day before, an email goes out at 1 p.m. And the morning of service, the email goes out at 7 a.m. And we service we've got 3,000 customers, and our routes are ranging in between 70 and 150 houses a day. So if we have sent you 3 messages and we don't even start till noon the next day, because we have to wait for the cans to empty. If I show up at the customer's house, the cans aren't out, we are charging them for that service. Unless somebody comes out and says, oh my heck, my son fell and broke his arm today, and we had to run to the hospital. And a nice neighbor came and pulled him in. If that happens, we are going to set up a ticket, and we're going to come the next day and we're going to take care of them. But if we've shown up, when we show up at their house, we send another text right when we get there that the cans aren't out, and that's all automated. And we have a beautiful system for that. Right after that, the driver calls from our app and clicks on a phone icon, which calls them, and it calls from our system. The driver literally calls from his phone, but it leaves the company phone number because he's calling through the app, and then leaves a voicemail. Then he goes up to the door, knocks on the door, and gets on their video camera. Everybody's got a video camera, and he's in his Cantastic hat. By that time, we once in a while will put a doorknob hanger also on the door, and this step we've kind of stopped doing because it's just a little bit too much, actually. But we put a doorknob hanger. We used to put a doorknob hanger that says, sorry, we missed you. After doing those 4 steps, we would mark them done, and then the ledger in the software would go from showing, because we charge them on the first. Let's say we charge $50 for service. It now shows in the software that they have a $50 credit. Once my driver mark's done in the app, that credit will instantly get taken down, and now they've got 0 balance because the service was performed. And at that point, we used to, before we did the 4 steps I just told you about, once we arrived at the house, we used to get a lot of people calling back and saying, hey, I was this or that, or my wife pulled them in or whatever. We don't get that anymore. Now people will usually apologize. Oh, we're so sorry. We did get your messages, but we're busy. We're doing this, this, and this. And most of the time they don't ask us to come back. They apologize for wasting our time. But if somebody calls that's really like, oh man, my freezer broke, and can you guys please come back? we can show you later. You can set up a ticket for somebody to go back. We generally won't, on these situations, we will not go back the day of garbage day because we have a quadrant and we can't go back that day, but we can always schedule a ticket for any day. So if a Wednesday customer just got missed, then we will go back like on a Friday, but we'll tell them I have to keep their can empty for 2 days. And most people will say, oh, that's impossible. I got 6 kids. So they'll usually just say, oh, just catch us next time. But if they're really adamant, they'll say, yep, I'll keep my cans empty. We add a ticket. And then when we're close to that area in 2 days, then, a guy just jumps off the freeway. He's pretty close. He'll get it done. And so for that reason, I have not used the skip button because skip makes it, because not all drivers are created equally. And if you get a driver who's kind of in a grumpy mood that day and he has the option to skip, sometimes he will hit skip on several houses because he's got to get home real quick. And it causes you a lot of rescheduling issues. And anyways, it does add a little bit of extra work because once somebody's skipped, you now have to reach out to them and find out, we skipped you. Do we need to come tomorrow? Do we need to come next week? Do we need to skip you to next month? But it is really up to you and how you want to handle it. And if you don't have a driver, you're doing this yourself, the skip button can come in really handy. If you have drivers, you might want to be a little leery about having them have the power to skip. But we actually, if we have somebody that this happens to, we generally, my drivers don't mark them off. Then at the end of the day, they'll just let me know, hey, there's 1 or 2 houses still on the route. You can just, and then they stay on the route. And it's a reminder to me that I need to get in there and I need to contact them and find out when they want us to come. And then I can just reschedule their next cleaning very easy. But we literally only have this skip button come up, I would say once every 2 weeks. And we're doing, like I said, 75 to 150 houses a day. So yeah, skip is very useful for some companies, but they might have different circumstances than we do in Utah. So sorry, that was a very long explanation.
You're good. So yeah, either way, if you skip or leave them on the route as not complete, you'll still have to figure out, because the route's not going to automatically advance if there's still people on it. So that'll remind you to go in and take care of those 3 people that were skipped that day. If you use the skip button, you'll have a reminder on your home screen to go in and fix those skipped customers. So either way, you'll know how to handle those customers. It just kind of depends if you want an actual skip button or if you just want to skip up on the route and do the next customer. The no service setting down there, that is this is if you don't use the skip button. You'll be able to mark how many cans were completed, and say you get there and you don't clean any cans, you'll type a 0. And then you can charge a visit fee. So if you charge a time of service and you want to charge a customer like 10 or 20 bucks for driving out to their house after you've reminded them 3 times that you're coming and their cans still aren't out, and you want to charge a visit fee, you could type in 20 bucks, 10 bucks, however much you want to charge them there. And then apply per visit service fee. Yeah, you would leave that top button selected. And then if you type in 0 cans on the completion screen, it'll apply this visit fee. I think, yeah, that's the option you would use. Apply an invoiceable credit for service not performed. Yeah, so if you want to use the visit fee, you would use that top button. This also doesn't work for fixed pricing. Because your fixed pricing, you're going to charge like 25 bucks for 2 cans and then each additional can. Or sorry, that's the next setting, the extra service setting. So if you don't have fixed pricing, you can use that extra service setting. So if you do an additional can that was required, you would do apply a per unit average overage fee. So it'll basically do the math. If your price is $30 for 3 cans, so it's $10 per can, and 2 extra cans were done, it's going to just do that math. Okay, so 3 for 30, that equals 10 per can. So it would charge an additional 20 bucks for those extra 2 cans. So fixed pricing, you already have this built into your pricing. So if you do extra cans, it's going to just charge your overage fee on your pricing record. So this wouldn't really apply to anyone who has a fixed pricing. And then the 0 service setting for commercial accounts. I don't really ever, do you use this, Russ?
I've never actually used it. I've never even seen it. So I know a few of our customers have recently asked for some additional invoicing tools. And so we will, if you're doing a lot of commercial cleanings and invoicing and want it automated or want some special circumstances there, let us know and we'll get on and get you information on how to use this part.
Okay, perfect. So you can save that one. And
Okay.
then, or I guess you don't have to save.
Kathryn, on these settings right here, I know there's some people have been in business for 4 years when we meet and do a demo and they're ready to come over and they already know exactly how they want things to work, when they bill, when they mark hands off, how much they want to charge. But others of you, if you just did a demo yesterday and you're just listening to this, you might be a little bit overwhelmed, like, geez, I have no idea. I don't even know if I'm doing cans the day of or the day after. I don't know when I'm going to do my billing or my pricing. That's all totally fine. You can come in and set up the settings how you think you're going to do it. And then you can set up, just text me, call me, get on with Kathryn, let us know. I can tell you how I do it. And I've also talked to literally hundreds of garbage can cleaning companies. And a lot of people have different opinions, different methods, different territories. Some people have a lot of different options. So if you want to set up a call to just brainstorm, some of you might use some of these settings for the first few months and then be like, oh, I wish that a certain thing was happening in a different way, and we can totally come in and tweak it. So we built this, customized this for can cleaners because we have a lot of different special needs. So don't get overwhelmed. Just get on a call with us and we can run through some of these in more detail. So thank you, Kathryn.
Sweet. So now scroll up. Let's go look at the billing engine. So click accounting and then automated accounting settings. So if you were to charge at the first of the month or on event when you clean their cans, this is where you would do that. So right now it's set up, I believe, on first of the month. So scroll down just a little bit. So first of the month and daily, Russ, I'm not familiar with that. Do you select those bottom two where it says charge for every service? Oh, sorry, that's on event.
Yeah,
do you select the second one for first of the month?
I'm not way familiar with these. Usually when somebody tells me how they want to bill, and then I will go look up the settings to make sure that it works that way. But yeah, I have mine different.
So on event, those first two boxes you would just ignore, but you would select the on event button there. And then over to the left where all those bubbles are, where it says on event, whatever pricing options you use, you would switch all these to on event. So that would be in the app when you mark a can complete, they'll get charged right then. First of the month, I believe, is the first of the month daily column. Manual, you probably don't ever want to do manual. That would be way too much work to have to remember to come in and charge all your customers on each route. I don't know anyone using manual. So on event or first of the month / daily, you can do in here. The service billing engine would just be on the routes. So we can show you that if you decide to use that. So you can scroll up, we can leave this screen and go over to accounting again, and then invoice settings. So invoice settings and quote settings are the same. You'll fill out all this information. You do have to have a phone and a contact phone. You can just put your business number in both of those. Contact name, if you don't want your name showing up on quotes and invoices, I usually just tell them to put the business name there, and then a contact email. If you have like an admin email you want to put there, you can. But I do believe every field does need to be filled out for this. So just do the same for contact phone and phone, and then contact name. And then this was invoice, so go up to main menu and click customers. And then create orders, quotes, and then settings. And then you would do the exact same thing here for the quotes. And then we'll get your logo uploaded, so it shows your logo there. But those settings are good for that. So now go up and click main menu again and go to admin. And then we'll do config and email templates. So these are just some automated templates we have in the system. You're obviously welcome to delete any you don't think you'll use, or you can reword them. So I would go through these and kind of get familiar with them so you know what you're sending your customers. And then, yeah, if you don't want to keep any in here, you can delete some that you won't use, but we just autofill these. I would go ahead, click the settings button. So for the email, this is going to be a footer that goes out on all your emails. So you can do your company name, an admin email address, and then you can say like something like thanks for your business, or sometimes people put their website link here. You can kind of put whatever you want for the footer. And then you can enable the unsubscribe so customers can opt out if they would like. It's not super important on email, but on the phone, the text messages, you do have to have those two enabled.
And what email goes in there?
Just if you had like an admin email for your business, like a admin at Kentastic or admin at iService Routes, or someone in charge of, I don't know, because if they reply back to this email, it's going to come in through the system, which is fine. So you don't have to have an admin email here. In fact, yeah, I don't know why you would have an admin email there, because customers are able to respond to these emails that go out. So you could probably just leave that blank. You don't have to fill these out. So you can go ahead and hit cancel or save. And then the template guide, if you click that, we have these little things called expressions or Jexels. So this is a list of all the things you could use and what they do. So one of the most common ones is like customer, the first name one. So we usually start the emails or texts like hello, first name. So when you send a bulk message to all your customers, it'll input everybody's first name for you. So yeah, so then you can definitely use these if you're creating your own, and you can kind of read what they'll do. So you can close that. And then scroll up and do the SMS templates. So config, SMS. These are the exact same, just shorter versions because they're text messages. Click settings here. These ones you do need to enable the stop and enable talk. So with our phone service that we use, Twilio, they do require that people are able to opt out of getting reminders. So these ones you do need to enable, and then you can hit save. And then let's go look at the system templates. So go config and system templates. So these are some of the automated messages that will go out. That top one goes out. There's a button in the app, like a little notice you can do. We usually do route running late for that one. But basically you'll just click this button in the app and it'll notify the rest of the customers on the route that you're running late but still planning on coming. So it's just one button you push and everybody gets that message. So that one's nice to have enabled. And then there's an email and an SMS for pretty much all the rest of these. Customer on complete is going to go out when you mark their cans complete. You can do an upon completion one for that. And then some people like to text and email. Some people just like to do one or the other. We don't have an upon completion text set up, but you can create one. And then email, customer on fail. I don't usually have people set this up because I think the customers will know if their cans weren't cleaned. But if you do want to notify them that their cans weren't out or serviced that day, you can definitely set those up. Email admin on complete. If you're a one-man band, you don't really need to set these up because you're admin, so you're going to be out cleaning cans and you'll know if they don't get complete or if they do get cleaned. So that would just kind of be a lot of notifications. But if you have multiple drivers out doing it, you might want to be notified if someone wasn't cleaned. So you can skip the admin for now. The en route setting, this is in the app. It can be a driver button or automatic, but this will basically just tell the next customer on the route that you're headed there. I think it's at the bottom. I just created one. Scroll to the very bottom. Oh, maybe it's not in here. But if you use the automatic en route setting, you would use the en route setting automatic template for this one. And that would go out without you even having to do anything. When you marked a customer complete in the app, the next customer would get notified. If you do the auto en route with the driver button, you can just leave this set to don't notify. So we can just leave that to don't notify for now. Marketing templates. Order received goes out when the customer places the order. And then the customer welcome message goes out when I don't have good templates loaded in here. That's my bad. But there's a welcome message that you would set up for the customer welcome, and then the order received for order received.
Oh, and real quick, I talk about this on the demo, so this will be familiar. I just let people know when somebody places an order from the website, they automatically, this is the two locations where you'll have messages set up, order received, and then over in the email and the text, and then that is what goes out to them. So right when they place their order, they get the order received. And then in the demo, I talk a lot about how when you process an order, it automatically sends them the message with the service date you're going to be there. And there'll be templates right here that you'll have when you get your enterprise set up, and you can grab those messages so that automatically when you schedule them, those service dates go out to them. And I mean, I spent my first few years, I spent 5 to 10 minutes for every order I placed because I had to go send a message, send an email, send a text, and then go put them in the route on the route that they belonged on. And then I had to go re-optimize the route. And it was like a 10-minute process. Now it's 45 seconds. So
yeah. Those are really important ones to set up. Billing templates. You can kind of create a customer payment success. There's little Jexels you can use that says like the last charge amount if you want them to see like the charge that went through. Again, I haven't loaded the correct templates in here, but there's a card link template you'll use for the payment fail. So that will send the customer a message right away if their payment didn't go through. It will send them a link for them to just click on and update their payment method. So for those two bottom ones, you would want to use the card link template. That's going to be in your enterprise when you go through and set these up. And then once you set all those up, you would do update and then apply to all routes. And then again, if you have questions on any of these, feel free to reach out and we'll do more in-depth training on that. But there's an automated feature for like the night before reminders. We have a separate video on our YouTube channel that goes over that. So you could just go and watch that video for the automatic reminder messages that go out. But as far as like system templates and stuff to automatically go out, that would be right here under the system templates. Go ahead, let's click settings and then default settings. So these default settings, those top 6 ones, oh, this one didn't fill in a state. Your state should already be auto-filled. And you can just leave these settings. I believe you want to leave them on admin and user. I don't know why these ones all say accounting, but I would just leave those, whatever the default is set up. when you get your enterprise. Probably do admin for that one as well. Default residential charge method. Again, these are two settings that someone had us add. If you want more training on the default residential charge and default commercial charge, reach out to us and we'll go over those. But the show balance on driver portal in the app, that would just show you if a customer owes you any money. So again, if you're a one-man band, that might be kind of nice to see in the app, because if their cans aren't out and they owe you money, you're probably not going to fight too hard to get their cans cleaned that day. But if you have a bunch of drivers, they might not need to see that the customer has a balance. The in-route setting, this is where you would select if you want to do the driver button or the automated in-route setting. If you do the driver button, you would obviously select driver button. If you do the automatic, you would have to go set up that automatic setting on the system templates. Days ahead and days behind. This is where it's good for holidays. And you want to do the route like a week early or a week later, you would come switch these days ahead and days behind. This is how many days you're going to see in the app, because we don't usually show all of your routes in the app. We only show routes that are built and the setting here, days ahead and behind. So right now we would show up to 2 weeks of built routes in the app with that set to 14. So these are good settings. You can come in and change these, but these are nice to use for holidays again if you want to do routes early. It's one way to do that. Automatically inject new customers into routes. I would always enable that. So it's going to, when you process the order, it's going to automatically inject them based on their address to the route. So really just getting started, you shouldn't have a whole lot of optimizing to do on your routes. Obviously, if you import customers, you'll have to optimize those routes to begin with. And then after that, they'll stay pretty optimized. Default enabled charge amount due on new orders. This is going to charge the card when you process the order. So you would have the option to uncheck that when you process the order, but by checking it here, it's going to autofill that check on the order screen. So just know that if you don't want to charge a customer's card when you process the order, I would just uncheck that one. Send new order information to the message center. That one's a good one to enable. It's just going to be another way to notify you of new orders coming in. The duplicate messages to the same customer. If you had two customers or one customer who had two properties being serviced the same day, we don't usually send duplicate messages to the same phone number unless you have this checked. So if you have a lot of customers like that, I would just enable that so they get a message for each property being cleaned. Show source on driver portal. This is going to just show if a customer came in on like an iReseller link or a Facebook ad or door hangers, it would just show that source in the app. I don't know that that's a huge one to see. Can you think of any reason why you'd want to see that, Russ?
I'm sure the one-man band companies that the owner's out in the truck, he probably may want to know to, if he sees them out in their yard, he may say, "Hey, I wanted to ask you more questions about that Facebook ad you saw," and maybe start in that way. I would, if I was in the truck, I would love to see it, but I know my drivers, they've got one goal, and that is to get those cans knocked out, and they might not even look at it if they're out there.
Yeah. So again, if you're a one-man band, you could probably enable that. Don't mark outbound mobile app messages as read. So the message center in the app and the desktop version is the same message center. So if you have drivers out reading text messages and stuff that come in through the app, they'll be marked as read for the desktop version. So if you have someone back at the office keeping track of like scheduling and messages and stuff like that, I would check that so that she can see those messages as unread, even if they're being read by people out using the app. So that one's a good one. Again, if you're a one-man band, you don't have to check that because you'll take care of all the messages in both places. So send order received message on failed orders. This one, you'll probably never want to use. We have a customer who doesn't take payment methods for any of his orders. He does that after he cleans the can, so all of his orders come in failed. But he still wanted those customers to receive the order received message, so we created that for him. But usually all of your orders should come in ready to be processed with payment information, and they'll get the order received message. So failed orders would be if someone got to like the payment screen on the website and didn't enter payment method and just closed out of the screen. We still capture that order. It just comes in as failed. So if you enable that and your people who start to sign up but don't finish get the order received message, they'll probably call and be like, hey, I didn't place an order. And so that would just kind of probably cause some headache if you enabled that. I would usually just leave that one unchecked. Email notice of new orders too. That's going to be like an email, admin email that you want to get orders. And then your company website has to be the full URL there. So the HTTPS colon, yeah. And usually you can just go to your website and then copy the URL and paste it there, but it just has to be the full website there. And then you can just hit update. It's probably not going to save. It's okay. We can just leave it blank. But those are the default settings. We also have we integrated with Google Review. So if you would like to use this feature, we don't have it loaded in every enterprise, but basically your Google Review link, we could tie it to like an upon completion text. So every customer would get the upon completion text, but if they have not left you a Google review yet, they would be prompted to leave you a review. And then once they leave you a review, they won't get that message anymore. They'll just get the upon completion message without the review link. So that's a cool feature to rack up your Google reviews. If you do have a Google My Business set up and want to enable that, let us know and we can go over that with you. We also recommend creating yourself in here as a customer. So Russ, if you want to click main menu and then customers, and then create orders, new customer. So I'm not going to make you fill all this out, but basically you could fill all this information out for yourself and just be in here as a customer. You don't have to have a service set up, but it's a good way to test like email templates and SMS templates if you want to test something before you send it to all your customers. You can set yourself up in here, and then if anybody calls in to place an order over the phone, I recommend going to your website and placing the order with them on the phone just through your website, because you'll get a lot more information on one screen by doing that. Instead of creating yourself as a customer in here, you would have to go through the customer tab, the billing tab, the service tab, and fill out a bunch of different tabs. So it's just easier. You'll get all the information you need if you place it through your website. And then we're going to do a couple more things. So to service your routes each day, you need a tech and a driver, or a truck and a driver. So we'll add the driver first. If you go to main menu, admin, and then settings, and then techs. And then you'll add tech, and then select yourself, save. And then I usually just enable the geo coordinates and the SMS so that you're able to use those in the app, and then click sync techs. Perfect. And then to add a truck, you're going to go over to the left applications area and click iFleet. It's a little truck icon. And then you'll hit vehicles and then add vehicle. So iFleet is a whole separate application than iRoutes. You can track all of your truck maintenance, your mileage, gas, stuff like that. For the purpose of this video, or if you don't really care to track any of that in here, you can just fill everything in with whatever. model, anything with a star needs a number in it. So you could just put, yeah, anything. Perfect.
So
Get rid of that 3D.
do we need to actually save to get to another step to show them adding to a route?
Yeah, so just get rid of the OBD. I don't think it needs it. There you go. And then now if we go back over to iRoutes, and then service routes. So by adding that, so each day you'll have to build your routes. Russ usually goes through and builds them for the whole month, but you basically select your driver and your truck, and then that route can be serviced now. This just basically sends it to the app for whichever driver you pick. So yeah, this is where you can send out the reminders for night before, stuff like that. So we usually do this on a separate training call. So we'll come back to this at a different time when you're ready to start servicing your customers. But this would be that screen. And then let's just create one general iReseller. So the iReseller, this is a good way to do QR codes for people if you have people wanting to sell for you. Or you can just create like promo codes. Right now, we're just going to create a link that takes people to your website so you can track how many orders. Well, actually, let's do a truck wrap one. So do add reseller and then do normal. So subdomain, you could just call it truck. And then we're not going to do any promo codes for this one. So landing page, I would just have them take it to the pricing page. It's the top right. Or fragment, you can leave blanks. Everything else you can just leave. Expire date, switch that to like 10 years from today's date. And then you'll select the date over to the right. So you can select today's date.
Oh, okay.
Because we're going to do 10 years from today.
What is, it is May.
Perfect. And then everything else you can leave blank. Down below, if you did have someone that you wanted to pay commissions to, you could put the cash amount or percentage here. Customer discount would be if you wanted to give your customer signing up through this link a discount. Apply discount to the first those two buttons at the bottom. That would apply this, whatever discount you do, it would apply it forever. So if it's a monthly customer, each month they would get the discount. If you wanted just a one-time credit off of the first service, you would select the second bubble below the one-time credit. And then you can do a minimum quantity of cans that the customer has to sign up with, or you could just give them a discount on like the first can. Or you could do the whole order. So by doing the whole order, you would leave that all items. If you wanted to just do a discount on the first 2 cans, you would select a 2 there. And then you can hit save. So basically, this is a way to track your orders and hits. So by having one for your truck, you can put that QR code. You can just copy and paste that wherever you need to for your truck wrap. I will say if you are planning on doing this, get with us first before you create this QR code for your truck wrap. There's some things that we have to make sure that are in place for it to actually work with your website. So just know that ahead of time. If you're doing it for a wrap, before you spend all the money on a wrap, get with us first so we can make sure it's going to be working for you correctly. But this is how you would do it. You would get that QR code, send it to whoever's doing your wrap, and then anyone who scans this QR code from your truck, it'll show up, hit back, or yeah. it'll show up right here. So you'll see the hits and how many orders have come in from your truck route. So I would recommend creating, even if you don't do a discount on any of them, I would create one. If you do Facebook ads, do a separate link for Facebook. If you do door hangers, if you do t-shirts, cheer squad, whatever you do, I would create an iReseller link for it so you can kind of track your hits and orders to see if you want to spend more money doing those. So it's a good way to use iReseller. We can obviously do more training in depth on this as well, but that's kind of the basic gist of it. I think that's good for now. Obviously there's more things like the calling tree and customer data. If you're importing customers, we would do that with you. But yeah, for the general setup, this is a good way to start. And if you made it this far, great. We'll get with you for more training on the rest of it.
They can go to get some more videos right here, right? If there's a lot more in-depth stuff. These are a little outdated, but there's some good stuff here.
Yep. So there's videos here, and there's also our YouTube channel. If you just go to YouTube and go to iService Routes, there's some more videos that are a little bit more up to date on new features and stuff there. So yeah, you can find them here too. Our website. Down at the bottom of the screen, you can click to our YouTube channel.